Hello everyone, my name is Elandra and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'll be showing you how I completed my 2026 reading journal. Now the journal that I have for this year is from Target. It's by the company Denick and their mission was really good. So if you buy a journal, you help build schools. We love a company that has a good mission. And I was looking for a lined notebook. This year or not this year because this is my first one, but for this year I was looking for something that would be very simple on the inside. I didn't want a blank notebook or journal. I wanted something that was very easy to manipulate on the inside, nothing that I had to go out of the way to make lines for. Now for this particular journal, I'll be doing it in more of a junk journal kind of scrapbooking style. If you have seen any of my other regular bullet journal videos, that's the style that I have been doing for the past couple of months, and I'm really enjoying that style. But as I go through this video, I'll just be discussing some of the bookish things that I have been doing or that I will be doing throughout this year. Now, like I said, for the year of 2026, this is my very first reading journal. Now, I by no means will this channel turn into a booktube channel. To be honest, I don't know if I have the qualifications for such things. I try to read, and I have been trying to read for the past few years. Some years more successful than others. I would say, like many people, I got into the enjoyment of reading when COVID hit. I would say it was like 2020, like the fall of 2020, I really got into reading. That fall was an amazing reading year, or like a reading season. There we go. And then the year after that, the beginning of the year was good of 2021, and then I kind of fell off for a few years. And then 2022, I don't think I read that much. 2023, I doubt it. 2024, towards the end of that year, I read a few books. 2025, I'm trying to think back. Maybe I read 12 books, but this year, 2026, I was like, I have got to pick up a book. I must read a book because honestly, every single time I read a book, I enjoy it. It's almost like I forget that I even enjoy this type of thing. So the goal that I set for this year was to read 30 books or more. And right now, well, as I'm filming this video, it's February, I think 9th. It's February 9th today, and I've read 7 books. You know, honestly, that's a celebration for me because I have not read this many books in such a short amount of time in a very long time. I know some people tear through books, but honestly, I am just taking my time. I am taking my time and going at my own pace. Honestly, I watch a lot of booktubers. For a person who is not much of like a fast reader or like a person who reads all the time, I love watching booktube people. Like, I love listening to booktube people. I love watching their vlogs. One of my favorites is Shaughnessy Schroeder. She is literally one of my favorites. I could listen to her talk all the time. Like, as I'm doing stuff, I'll have her vlogs like playing in the background of whatever I'm doing. Anyways, back to my goals for this year. To read 30 or more books. My second goal is to finish 3 books that I've read halfway through. I have probably like 10 books that I've read halfway through and just stopped reading. I don't know what happened. I'm just not sure. Like, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I was enjoying it, but for some reason, I just stopped reading the book. For example, one book that I have yet to finish is The Help. The crazy thing is, The Help is one of my favorite movies. So I was like, of course I'm going to read the book. And I was reading the book. I was having a good time. But I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened. So I was like, that needs to be a goal because I have too many books I've read halfway through and never finished. My third goal is to buy more used books versus new books. Now, of course, if a new book comes out that I'm interested in, I'll buy it new because I'm not going to sit there and wait until I can find a used one. That's ridiculous. But I've been finding a lot more used books on Amazon. So instead of buying it new, because that's, something that I've been kind of working on, buying cheaper things as well. You can go to there's like an option. I think it's like more options when you look up a book on a particular, like on the book that you click on in the options or whatever. You can order books from like thrift books off of Amazon, and they'll send you the book right than Amazon. Now, it will take a little bit longer to get there, but it's worth it. Honestly, I bought quite a few books. Like, I just bought an art book the other day for like $10, whereas the original price was almost $30. So buying used books, I think, will be a much better alternative for me this year. And my fourth and last goal is to read 2 Book of the Month books that I've had for years. Once upon a time, I had a Book of the Month subscription for quite some time, and I think for like a whole year. And when I tell you, I read one of them. I'm not even joking. I read one of those books, and the rest of them I gave away. And I'm looking at, as I'm doing this voiceover, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them sitting on my shelf. Out of the 7 that I still have, I have read 2 of those books. I need to read at least 2 of these to make my money that I spent on Book of the Month every month count. There we go. Moving on. As to why exactly I wanted to keep a reading journal for this year, I felt as though keeping a keeping a reading journal for this year would make me more excited about reading. I feel like this is almost like a reward for myself, or like proof of my accomplishment. Like, down the road, when I get old and decrepit, I would absolutely love to have something to look back on. And one thing I'm sure many of us do is I like to go back and read through my old journals once in a while, just to, honestly, it's kind of funny. Sometimes it can be funny, sometimes it can be depressing. More often it's funny. But I love going back to look on my thoughts that I had at the time, and I feel like this will be a really good reminder of what I thought of particular books at that particular time. Now, as I have read some of these books, even throughout this year, the more I marinate on them, my opinions do change. But seeing how I felt in the moment right after I read a book, I think it's interesting to look back on, because so much can change from when you first wrote it to later on down the line. Now that I've talked about my goals, I will talk about my next page. That was my series tracker page. Now, this page was not necessarily to track like books. This was more like, novellas and novels and stuff like that. This was more so to track all the manga series that I have started. Recently, at the end of 2025, I started reading a manga because I wanted to read The Apothecary Diaries, and that dove me into a whole bunch of other books that I think are really, really fun. If you are somebody who doesn't necessarily like to read long books, but you love a good, fun story, I would say manga is definitely a thing to try. Honestly, it's just a lot of fun. And that's why I mainly had my series tracker page. Now, moving on to my TBR page. Whenever I have a TBR, I've written lists before, I've written long lists before. I'm not doing that anymore because I don't keep up with it. Now, the ones that you'll see that I am going to write, you'll see those later on. Those are the ones that I know for sure that I'm going to read this year because I've been wanting to read them. But just adding random books on my TBR, that's just not going to work for me. It probably won't get any longer than maybe 10, 15 books. But yeah. And next are my monthly favorites. When it comes to making decisions, I'll be quite honest. I don't like picking. I don't know if I like picking my favorites, but I think it's kind of hard to pick your favorites as far as monthly faves. But I was like, you know what? This will be a good thing to look back on and be like, oh yeah, I made the right decision. Or either like, oh no, I didn't make the right decision. Like some of these decisions that I'll make for my monthly favorites are definitely tentative. Like if I have a terrible reading month, will I have a favorite book, or will I leave that particular frame blank for that particular month? You know what I'm saying? And lastly, moving on to my month by month breakdown for how I'm going to complete my journal, my monthly journal reading. I have it split up by just putting January at the top of each page, and then For each month, I'm going to come up with a different prompt. Excuse me, by I mean ChatGPT. It's going to come up with a different prompt because honestly, I don't really like doing repetitive things. I don't like doing things over and over and over again or answering the same question. That is kind of going to get annoying to me. And especially, I don't want this to feel like work. You know, I don't want it to be something that like, I have to do. I want it to be fun and engaging. So for each month, I'm going to have a different question. I had ChatGPT write me up some things. So for January, it was based off of a fresh start. So the question for January is, how did this book change or reset the way I'm thinking as I begin the year? And for each book that I read in January, which I read a total of 6 books in January, I gave myself a little pat on the back for that one because I was proud of myself. I'm going to answer that particular question about each book. And I just think it's a fun way to, keep things interesting. Now we have come to the very end, the final reveal of my 2026 reading journal. I wanted to keep things very simple, very easy to follow, nothing that seemed too hard to complete because I know me and this reading thing, we're getting ourselves together. I'm trying my best, okay? But I wanted my reading journal to be very easy. If you enjoyed this video, think about subscribing, liking, all that good stuff. And then in the comments, if you will, leave a recommendation for a book you think I should read this year in 2026. I will absolutely not promise you that I'll actually read the book, but I do love a good romance. So if you know one, let me know. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye, everyone.